No, the first thing, the first question which I usually start, right, is like, why have you started to build Ribbon? What was the main thing?
Yeah. So Simon, I worked at a bank for 20 years
Yeah,
in different markets in North America and in the UK and European markets. And I was leading the entire retail bank for the whole world outside of India. It's an
yeah,
Indian bank, ICICI. And, you know, when I moved to London in 2014, I saw companies like Monzo, Starling, Wise, Revolut, and I realized that they had started solving a problem for the East European community coming into the Western Europe or Northern Europe. But nobody was looking at India as a market. And just by a sheer population, there are 2 million Indians that leave India each year,
yeah,
students as well as working professionals. And the basic problem they face is when they land, say, in London or Frankfurt or anywhere,
yeah,
they don't have a bank account in those countries. And they go through a rough ride. And you must remember that these people are affluent. Anybody who can pay a stock foreign student fee in UK is definitely coming from a very good background. And even if somebody's coming as a working professional, they are earning upwards of £75,000
yeah,
annually, and they come from a certain lifestyle in India. And for them to come and hit a hurdle where something as basic as not having a debit card or
yeah,
having a bank account to even get their salaries paid on a monthly basis, right, is a big challenge. So my original intent was to launch this product proposition for the bank I used to work for.
yeah.
But the bank was largely focused on, bringing money transfers to India rather than building something outside of India.
Makes sense. Yeah,
Then I took that leap of faith and I said, if I don't do it, the bank's not doing it. We
yeah,
had 8 Indian banks across all over the world, but none of them are offering this product. So I said, let me do it. You know, so that was the genesis of Ribbon, and I thought of the name Ribbon because one of my seed investors, they had Ribbon in one of their company names, and
yeah,
I liked it. Ribbon has a very positive connotation in every culture. You
yeah,
tie a gift with a ribbon. In India,
yeah,
we tie their ponytails with ribbon.
yeah,
So it's a positive spin. And my ethos was that one, I want to create inclusive banking for
yeah,
people who don't have access to banking. Two, I want to create financial literacy. And three, I want to create revenues for my investors.
yeah,
Unlike having, burning cash and building valuation
yeah.
with no line of sight and exit, right? So I said, how do I tie these three things together with the ribbon? So that's why the name Ribbon.
Nice, nice, nice. That's true. That's true. Uh-huh.
And that's how we started this journey of building an electronic money institution with a longer term objective of having expansion plans in different markets and follow the Indian diaspora.
Yes,
But my long term objective is to be the financial services company for migrants.
yes,
There are 300 migrants globally as we speak. You know, Indians are just about 10-15% of them.
yes.
But we went after the Indian diaspora because number one, they have the huge volume, both of money transfers as well as number of people. Two, because I worked in an Indian bank in the Indian diaspora.
Yeah,
My entire team is from ICICI, and we all understand the India risk. So if you tell me you're from this part of India, we know exactly what the pen picture is of this, the persona of this individual. And therefore, we said, let's focus on India for the first couple of years, get maybe 250,000 customers. And then when the burn rate equals the revenues, then we'll have a little more cash to actually go after other communities.
yes.
Then we'll go into digital marketing space and all of that.
Interesting. You're touching upon really good topics and really interesting things, which I would focus as a next step would be. You mentioned that right now you get licenses in different countries. So first of all, why didn't you, for example, go for banking as a service, right? White label some solution, and why did you choose to go to EMI? And why did you? What was the strategic thinking behind these regions, UK, Germany, and the third one?
Right. So I'll talk about the regions first. So,
Yeah.
very clearly, when you do the market research on India, you'll find that a vast majority of Indians are either in the Middle East or in the United States.
Mhm.
Barring these two, The third largest cohort of Indians is in the United Kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
then in Europe, then in Canada and Australia. So UK and EU are very big markets. I was already working in this market, so it just became a natural fit for me with the regulators, and therefore I chose this market rather than going back to Canada where I'd spent 11 years and trying to
Yeah.
build a bank there. Plus, UK and Europe are at the forefront of fintech evolution, regulatory licensing regime, and all that, right? So that's the reason I chose this market to go first and then expand into other markets. Now, the other question was, why did I not go for a BaaS provider? So my first contract was with a BaaS provider called Qantas Financial Services.
Mm-hmm.
It really accelerated our market entry because we actually launched a beta version within 6 months.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge that institutions like us or newcomers or fintech startups face with BaaS platform providers is you're governed or regulated by their compliances.
Yes.
Okay. And typically, if you go to a BaaS provider in Europe, their lenses are largely focused towards the European community. So for them, a India risk and a Nigeria risk is the same. But coming from India, I know the difference between an India risk and a Nigeria risk, right? Uh,
Uh-huh.
as a Nigerian, they will not see the risk that I see. But so I don't blame the European BaaS providers. So that's one challenge. Secondly, when these BaaS providers change strategy, they give you a 1 month notice and pull the plug. In our case, with Qantas, they ran into some rough weather with the FCA and they had to pay some penalty and they sold to Solaris Bank. And we immediately got a notice that Solaris doesn't want to continue any of its BaaS relationships. So we were left hanging high and dry with about 1,000 customers we'd acquired as a beta version customers. Yeah. So while we are testing the product, suddenly we have to now go back to customers and say, hey, you know, thankfully we had started the licensing process at that time because our intent was to have our own license at some stage. So I think with BaaS providers, it accelerates your market entry, but it definitely contains what you can do as a fintech. You
Yeah.
can't, kind of push the boundaries as much as you would like. And secondly, you are at their mercy when they can give a notice and say, hey, you fall outside our risk or we don't want to do this business.
Yes.
After I finished Qantas, my second platform was Neom. We went through the whole integration. 1 month before launch, their investors told them not to get into this business. So they gave us a notice, right? So I burned through cash
Yeah.
for a year and a half, just running from pillar to post. And then that created a confusion in my investors' mind, saying that what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
He said, one time, yeah, Qantas, I can understand. But second time, you chose a provider and
Yeah.
they've also given you a notice. What's wrong? Right? So that created a lot of hurdles for me in the minds of my investors. And I lost credibility.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I don't want to do this. I'm going to wait till I get my own license. The technology stack was ready. So literally, we sustained the burn for a year till we got our own license and went live. So I hope that answers your question on BaaS providers. So I like BaaS providers, but then, you don't have the latitude. Eventually, you must have your own license.
No, that's the thing, That's actually that was a really interesting real life scenario because that's something that actually I didn't even know that it's possible, right? When I'm there's a situation, of course, that contest. That's unfortunate what happens, But with other providers, I would be happy to have a new customer, right? And they just say, hey, let's keep your money, right? Or keep your
No,
money.
they refunded our money. So that is a good thing. They send the money back.
That's what I right.
6 months of our time, right? That money we spent on integration was lost.
Exactly. But on the other hand, if you are EMI right now, it gives you more space for monetization or for the business model, right? So what is the business model right now? Where do you see the revenue?
So we have 3 streams of revenue. So at the core of our technology stack, what we offer is a multi-currency account, like Revolut does.
Yeah.
And we offer payments through a debit card and online, international money transfers, everything,
Yeah.
like Wise does. So it's a combination of Wise and Revolut that we've built, right? And plus we've got some financial literacy tools, some widgets and everything. So we have three streams of revenue. Smallest stream is interchange fees when our customers do card transactions.
Yes.
A big chunk of our revenue comes from FX, foreign exchange, where either customers are converting money into the wallet and then sending it overseas to make payments or
Mhm.
money transfers to their home countries, or they use their debit cards to swipe. They have a GBP wallet and they swipe in Europe to buy or sell something. So FX is a second component. The third component that we have just about started monetizing is third-party products. So as
Yeah.
an EMI, unlike a bank, you have a restriction on the type of products you can offer. So what we've done is we've gone out and we've got contracts in place with regulated, registered companies that
Yeah.
offer term deposits, that offer equity trading, that offer crypto trading, right? So our customers, Ribbon's customers, can through Ribbon access these third-party service providers and buy those products and services that they would like, which they would otherwise have gone to different platforms. So it's quite similar to what you can do in, say, Revolut. Yeah, you can buy and sell shares, but we all know that it's through Drive Wealth, and it's not Revolut's own, right? Drive Wealth is an American company.
Yeah.
It's the same principle. So three streams to answer your question:
Mm.
interchange fee, which is small; FX, which is a big component; and third-party revenues, which
I love
is
No, that makes sense, and this is what I was discussing with Zazu, which is African bank, South African SME neobank that is launching it within 1 month, and they said, hey, so our priority is to have amazing user experience. They have banking as a service, but they own the front ends, and they want to basically make a revenue out of other people's services, right? So
yeah.
accounting services, affiliates, and all this stuff. Which actually brings me, okay, yes, these are good revenue streams. You mentioned the Revolut and Wise, right? So Revolut is super heavy on features and good user experience. Wise is a good user experience, but I would say the feature is the most important one.
That's
So
right.
what you took in account when building the product in terms of mobile app, right? Is it, hey, we want to have the most user friendly, or is it most feature rich, or the best, most reliable, or what are the key parameters that you are focused on?
So we kept our Indian customer in mind, and we said, what is it that they get from Indian banks today in
Mhm.
India? And how can we better that, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't go crazy on features or user experience
Yeah.
because there is no end to it.
Yeah.
Because people are used to Netflix and Google and Facebook. To reach up to that level will take us time, and it requires money for everything, right?
Mhm.
So we said, how can we be at par with the market, what the service providers like Starling, Monzo, Revolut offer today, but at the same time be more competitive on pricing, right? So we kind of balanced it. We gave basic features. We said, what do people need? People need multi-currency accounts. People need a debit card. People need to send money to somebody. Then we built a few features related to FX itself, like peer-to-peer payments in any currency.
Yeah.
Uh, we knew that we have students in our ecosystem as customers, and students from time to time have to ask their parents to send money into their account. So we built a pay me feature in our app, where if the student clicks on pay me, an email goes to the parent automatically with the entire application form filled out for them. So they
Yeah.
just print out and go to the bank in India. The biggest challenge Indians face is because it's a regulated market. They have to fill out forms and forms and forms. And then they half the times don't know what data to be provided about the UK bank account.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
We kind
Interesting.
of automated the whole process so that it becomes seamless and we don't lose this customer. And then the parent goes to a bank in India with this printout and they're out in 5 minutes, with the whole
Yeah.
process done. So we built those kind of features. And then we said, okay, we also wanted to have the financial literacy tools in there. So we embedded piggy bank, we embedded goals, we embedded budgets, and
Yeah.
then intelligent monitoring. And then finally we said we want to make people aware of their carbon footprint.
Mm.
You and I buy air tickets, the airline gives us an option to pay £8 extra and offset carbon footprint. We said we'll start monitoring customers' carbon footprint on the spends that they do. So
Uh-huh.
into say Tesco and bought a case of water, our app will tell you that you spent £6 on this case of water. Your carbon footprint monitor was so much. If somebody went and bought beers, then their carbon footprint will be so much. And then we give them an option through a plugin with, NGO, if they felt like offsetting their carbon. But at least, they're aware now of
Yeah.
when they're buying a product, how much is their carbon footprint. And we are carbon neutral, right? We offset our carbon, but our customers' product purchase, that we've embedded. So it's not as heavily feature rich
Yeah.
or UI friendly as Revolut is, but it does the work and it does it cheaper.
That's the thing, right? If I imagine that I should go into the bank and fill out the form, and I'm actually surprised that it's still working, right? It's somebody, and I'm sure that that's a interesting. I spoke to I think it was called Go. I don't remember the name. French teenage neo card, basically, and they were solving a problem. Okay, so teenagers doesn't have a card, so what the person needs to go do, the parent, is to put the money into the envelope and send it via post, to the, when they're in for 2 weeks in traveling, with some camp, for example.
Yeah.
This is still similar. So you're solving a problem of user experience, but on the other end, when somebody wants to send you money, right? Just out of curiosity, so how come you, for example, the parents doesn't have Ribbon, mobile app, and then just send the money or top up the money in a Ribbon and just do kind of an instant transfer to the kid?
Because our customer's parent is in India.
Uh-huh.
We don't have a license in India, so we've applied for a license. So once a license comes,
Uh-huh.
then we'll open the parent's account. So today we can open the account of somebody who's coming out of India and coming to this part of the world.
Yes.
But anybody who's a resident of India, we need a license in India to actually offer them a local account. So once we do that, then we'll be on both sides.
And are you thinking about it? Are you already applying? Is it on
We've
the...
already applied.
Uh-huh.
We've already applied for a license.
Good luck. I think that would be a big game changer, so
Yes, from a volume perspective, because today what happens is the parent is going to a local bank and the FX income is made by them when they send money into UK, the student's account. But when we are in that side, then we'll make the FX on that side as well, not just on this side.
that would be I will keep an eye on Ribbon for sure, because that, I think that would be definitely for the volume perspective, but also not only that, the remittance and sending the money cross-border transactions, but also having Indian market, right, and scale up in India. That would be massive. I don't know actually if there are already some Indian neobanks. There are probably, but I'm not that much aware. But you would be probably some few that are in Europe as well as in India. So that would be good differentiator.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of my question is, what is the long-term vision in terms of scaling up the business, scaling up the basically the company growth, the user? What are the next steps?
So the immediate next steps for us. So, if I were to kind of break up the vision into, let's say, short term, 2 years, and longer term, say 5 years. In 2 years, we want to be present in multiple geographies, have multiple licenses, and cater to the Indian diaspora going everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
In 5 years' time, we want to be a bank for migrants globally, not just Indians.
Yeah.
And in all these jurisdictions that we'll be present, we want to kind of cater to all the migrants coming from any country, not just from India. So so the longer term vision is to be the bank for migrants. Baby steps into it. Start with the Indian community, go into multiple markets, and then open up to all the migrants in those domestic markets. Like say Spain and South America, Germany and Turkey, Ghana, Nigeria from UK.
Yeah.
Right. So there's immense opportunity, and all of these people have the same problem that these Indians are facing.
Yeah.
Right. But just that 30% of the global migrants are Indians. So, it's a big cohort to kind of tap into.
And especially, not many people have experience from the local culture. As you are saying, you've got the experience, you've been there, you understand the risk and all in different regions, etc. One phase, right, that you have gone through is getting the new customers, right, the new signups, the beta, etc. What are the channels to do the marketing, for example, or get the clients? Is it like the ads, or is it the articles? How did you get the clients?
So if I looked at traditional successful fintechs, right, like all the big names, unicorns, decacorns, what they do is they do a lot of digital marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
They also do member get member programs, right? One of the things I observed was that for all these large corporations who are large fintechs now,
Hmm.
acquisition cost is really expensive. They spend anything upwards of 180 to 200 pounds per customer. Now we know that for them, it's the same streams of monetization that we have, which is interchange fees, FX, and third-party products. We're not a bank to
Yeah.
have credit products and all of that, right? So how do you monetize when a customers come to you because you're cheaper than everybody else?
Yeah.
And yet you spend 200 pounds to acquire that customer. And how do you continuously, consistently try to monetize? The customer life cycle becomes very long then, in terms of breaking even. So we said, okay, we are not going to go the traditional fintech route of digital marketing campaigns, etc. Because
Hmm.
I think Facebook and Google are the only ones who make money that time. We don't, right?
Yeah.
So we said we'll go the traditional distribution route. Because we are from India, we understand the lay of the land. We went actually grassroots levels, my team and I. We tied up with pretty much every Indian corporate that sends people overseas. We tied up with every student counselor that actually supports any student that goes overseas for visas and all of that. We've got ties with, travel tourism operators who actually buy tickets for these students and working professionals who are going
Yeah.
overseas. Right. So it was a hard work. While we were waiting for our license, we said, let's go and do the distribution tie-up
Yeah.
grassroots level. We've tied up with universities in the UK who go and pitch to Indian schools,
Yeah.
A-level schools, right? So we've gone grassroots, and our distribution is purely network based, and that's how we are sourcing our customers. So our acquisition cost is under 20 pounds,
Uh-huh.
which includes getting the card delivered to the customer, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a very, very traditional brick and mortar. So it's slower.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we do digital marketing campaigns, we get thousands of customers. But what it does do for us, it gets us a customer who has a real problem that we're trying to solve. And therefore, our active customer base is over 56%, right?
Yes.
And that's the key thing for us. So, we've not gone down the route. We did do some articles, but then, there are so many industry leaders like yourself who have far more knowledge than, what we can impart on these articles. So we said, okay, let's not go down that path. From time to time, we do host dignitaries, who are followed uh, by the Indian diaspora, the High Commission, some ministers, etc., as and when we can. So we've got a couple of offices, one in London, one in Gibraltar.
Yeah.
We host them in our offices and do some photo ops and all of that. That kind of gets us out in the, in the Indian diaspora and Indian media. But by and large, it's purely distribution based.
Uh, Honestly, so I listened to a podcast where there was the chief marketing from Revolut, and he was like, okay, I don't care about CAC, the cost of acquisition, a customer of cost of acquisition, right? He cares actually about the ROI eventually, how much money the person brings, because you can acquire so many customers. They are cheap, you get a lot of them, but they are not high quality. And what he said is, I care about high quality customers. I'm willing to pay more, but they bring the most revenue. In your case, it doesn't matter that much that you've got what is the channel, but the channel is the most relevant, right? It's universities, right? So that makes total sense. Okay, really interesting. Well, my final questions before some final remarks is if somebody is thinking about building a neobank or fintech, right? What would you recommend to them?
So I would definitely recommend to anyone that make sure you know your compliance,
Uh-huh.
because the last thing you want to do is do something falling short of compliance and therefore getting a slap on the knuckles from the regulator. Number one. Number two, choose your team very, very carefully,
Uh-huh.
because what happens is when you go to a tech guy, he will sell you the moon. And then, we all know the story of this AI company, right? Builder.ai, that fell through last month. There was a bunch of guys sitting and coding at the back end, right?
I heard that. That was funny.
Yeah. But, so you go to a technology guy and you tell the CTO that, I want this, and he'll say, yes, it'll be done. But make sure that you understand the basics, at least if you're not a techie yourself,
Yeah.
that what this individual is telling you is actually achievable by them or not, whether they have that skill or not.
Yeah.
Because the tech guy will never say no. They'll always say yes. And then you run into these problems with them. Yeah. And the third thing is build a great team around you.
Yeah.
Right. And a great team doesn't mean that everybody is a successful team member. But I think if they work cohesively and they buy into the whole, problem you're trying to solve, then your everyday processes become easier.
Yeah.
Your stress levels drop, because when you're a fintech and as a entrepreneur, you're juggling many plates. You're going after investors to raise capital, you're going after regulators to get your licenses. At the same time, you want your customers, you want your partners, banking rails, everybody and their uncle is asking for money, right? So there's a lot of pressure on that, and you built your team and you have to pay payroll, right? So as a startup guy, you one have to roll up your sleeves. And the best example I give is like a shopkeeper. You put the shutter up in the morning, you dust the table, you sit there, you know, you manage everything, and at the end of the day, you put the shutter down and you count your cash, right? You do everything. And therefore, important to know your compliance,
Yeah.
build a great team around, understand the basics, do your market research,
Yeah.
and work cohesively. That just reduces the stress levels, and then every day you feel motivated to wake up and,
Yeah.
do it.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think there is type of people who can make it, and there is type of people who it's me. When I listen to people like you, I'm like, I would probably mentally crash on week one, of doing all this
I
thing.
don't think so. That's not true, though.
Yeah.
Only thing is, so just off the record, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I have got 25 years of work experience, and
Uh-huh.
a majority of fintech startups are largely run by young people, right? Coming
Mhm.
out of universities, they've got an idea, they've got the skill, they try to build it, right? And they are very, very successful. I mean, most of the fintech startups are run by young people, but you'll see the ones that are really solving a problem.
Yeah.
I see largely coming out of Germany. There are a lot of these guys who are PhDs,
Yeah.
doctorate, right? They've studied, they understand, right? And then they're trying to do something. In my case, I'm grateful that my stock options from my previous employers have done really well.
Yeah.
I had a backstop as well, right? That if the venture didn't go well,
Yeah.
one, the bank I worked for was ready to take me back, and two, I had enough capital to
Yeah.
sustain, right? Because you got your family, you got to pay the bills, you got to do everything, right? So it's easier to kind of venture when you're either very young, when your responsibilities are very little, and then you have no fear of failure, because it's just you. I mean,
Yeah.
24, 25, you try till 30, you fail, that's okay. You get back into the workforce. When you're in your 40s, then you have a family, then you have some commitments and everything else. So either you must have that capital to back you, right? If the worst case scenario occurs, okay? So it's a balance, right? I could just take that leap of faith because one, I was fortunate that the stock options did
Yeah.
well, and my relationship with my bosses were good in the bank. So
Yeah.
I obviously had the back entrance that if things don't work out for you,
Uh-huh.
that did initially put that fear in my mind, saying that, oh, should I just go back? What am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Had I burnt the bridges or ships, then the only way was forward, right? So that is one way to look at it. But so it's a balance. So I think
Yeah,
we can
definitely.
do it. Yeah.
Oh, I would kind of argue with that everyone could do it. I don't think that everyone, but what you are saying is definitely some of the kind of a must-have things. Yeah, because if you don't have anything to lose, you will do it.
Yeah.
But then, and if you have some backup, then you're more likely to do it. But still, I think one of the so I had my little small businesses, right? Really small. I have 5 employees in my marketing agency, and. And the one big thing was, so first of all, do it, because a lot of things just talk and think and they never do it. Second of all, once you do it, keep doing it, and that was the hardest. You know it,
Yeah.
right? The first thing, the bus provider, second bus provider, and
Yeah.
regulations and all these things when you're like, oh my god, is this even worth it? And then if you I think from my experience, what I believe is like the successful are the people who keep going even over the hurdles that they had, and then eventually figure out the right way, So I think based on what you are doing it really well because next, what they say, next milestone is 7 years of startup, right? And then just moon, right?
Yeah, but you only see people who reach the moon, right? You don't see the
Yes,
people who didn't reach the moon, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, but it's a tough journey, but it's a very satisfying one. I can tell you, every day I do something, right? At the end of the day, I know whether I did my best or I didn't do my best. Yeah, my
Mhm.
wife knows that, right? At the same time, in the past when I used to do it, yes, I used to get a promotion, get bonuses,
Yeah.
options. But the day I left, that was the end of story, right? Uh,
Nothing behind you.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no legacy, right? But if you
No,
think
yes,
these
yes.
successful ones, right? Steve Jobs, I mean, he passed away so many years ago, but we still talk about, right?
Yeah.
Of the revolution he's brought with this iPhone.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that. So I think doing your own thing
Yeah.
gives you that satisfaction that everything is yours, the success, the failure, and everything,
So
working.
true.
Yeah.
Also true. I cannot agree more. Right. So great, great, great. I have to say that I have learned a lot. Definitely. Thank